Hi everyone, welcome to Steph's Garage Jewelry, and today we are going to do a basic peyote bezel, and for the 18 by 13 fancy stone Swarovski. This particular color is the Orange Glow DeLite from the DeLite series, and a couple of things to note about the difference between a fancy stone and a Rivoli. If you look here, let's get a little closer. The front here is flat, okay? You have the back coming to a peak and a ridge, but the front is flat. So the difference between the Rivoli is the front and back would both be coming to a point. In this particular case, with the oval, 18 by 13, it is flat in the front because it's a fancy stone and not a Rivoli. So that's the major difference. When you're talking about your round Swarovski stones, comparing a Rivoli, a Chaton, same thing. The front is flat, okay? The back will still come to a point, but the front is flat. Also, when you're doing peyote bezels between a Rivoli and a fancy stone, you may have to adjust a little bit, and so keep that in mind if you're using not a fancy stone but a Rivoli. Alright, so let's go ahead and gather our materials, and let's go and get started. Alright, so I'm using 6-pound Fireline, and I've cut off a whole wingspan, so that's from one arm to the next. And I have my stop bead just slightly less than halfway through, a little bit more than 1/3 of the way. So somewhere in between there would be nice. And I have a total of 38 11/0 Delicas to get us started, okay? And a housekeeping note is that because this does have a backing here, and it is, you know, you want to protect that backing on this particular fancy stone. You don't have to do this, but I just recommend it. Clear nail polish. It will help protect that backing. And doing it now will give you plenty of time to let it dry before you need to put it in. So let's go ahead and put that off to the side. And so what we're going to do when we first get started is we're just going to create a little loop here. So let's go ahead and create our loop. Slide this over. And I'm going to do the first 3 of my 11/0 Delicas. And let's go ahead and get a little closer. There we go. So I have the first 3 of my 11/0 Delicas. There we go. Just going to do a gentle tug. There we go. And we're just going to do the basic peyote stitch that we've done in the past. Now, because this is a little bit bigger, now the smaller ones I tend to leave flat. And then shape them. Because this is a little bit bigger, I'm going to try to shape it as I go. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide this down, hold this on my finger, and what I'm going to do is I'll do a stitch, and then after each stitch I'm going to roll things a little bit to help loosen up the beads in between so things don't get too tight, okay? Especially the first couple of ones that we do. After that, it's not so bad. So let's go ahead and pick up a 11/0 Delica. Alright, so I am coming out of here. I'm going to put my 11/0 Delica that I picked up on top of the one I'm skipping, and then going through the following. So let me just go ahead. There we go. Oops, sorry, I kind of went out of frame. So let's see here. There we go. And then if things don't lie correctly at first, go ahead and put things into place. There we go. Doesn't want to work for me today. All right, now we got it kind of working. There. All right. So let's go ahead and do that again because I think I went out of camera frame. And again, you want to roll so things don't get too tight. All right, so I'm coming out of this one here. Whoops. I'm coming out of this one. I'm going to pick up an 11-0, set it on top of the one I'm skipping, and then go through the next one. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So just like that. And I'm using my fingers to help guide the bead. There we go. Do a gentle tug. And again, if it doesn't go in the right spot right away, just go ahead and manipulate that. Using your fingers and nails. And again, you don't want things too tight, so go ahead and just roll those beads just like that to help loosen things up a bit. Alright, so I'm going to pick up another 11-0. I'm coming out of here. The 11-0 I picked up will sit on the one I'm skipping, and then I'll go through the next one. There we go, just like that. There we go. And voila. And again, just use your nails or fingers to put it in place. Just like that. And then do a little roll on the beads. And then you go all the way around. Okay? And make sure that once you've gone all the way around, you weave so that you come out of that very first bead that you added over here. Okay, and meet me back here and we'll do the next round and then we'll be switching to our 15-0s at that point, okay? Nice job, everyone. See you in a bit. Alright, so now we switched over to our 15-0s, and for the first round I'm actually going to be using hex cut. You could go ahead and use Delicas, or you could use rounds. I'm just going to be using hex cut. I actually like using Delicas or the hex cut and then switching to the rounds because it does give it more of texture. Alright, so and this is just the basic peyote, and so what we're going to do is we're coming out of this 11-0 Delica. Alright, I'm going to pick up a 15-0 which will sit in the little notch, and then I'm just going to go through the next 11-0 Delica sticking out. So we'll just go like that. There we go. And you can kind of hold that in place with your finger if you need to, and just do a gentle tug. You don't want to do too hard. And then let's go ahead and do the next one here. So I'm coming out of here. I picked up a 15-0, it's going to sit in a little notch, and I'm going to go through the next 11-0 Delica, just like this. There we go. And I'm just going to use my finger for a moment. There we go. Alright. And then we just go on to the next couple. See? So let's do one more here. So I'm coming out of here. I picked up a 15-0. I'm going through the next one. It's going to sit on in the little notch. I'm going to use my finger just to kind of guide it, and then I give a little tug, and there you go. And then go all the way around, and when you're done, make sure you threaded your way so you're coming out of the first 15-0 that you added, okay? Alright, looking great, everyone, and meet me back here, and I'm going to switch to my 15-0 rounds to give it that little bit more texture. Alright, so just like we did before, the only difference is we're coming out of the 15-0 hexagon, and we're going to pick up a 15-0 round seed bead and then have that sit in this little notch here where the 11-0 Delica is, and then just go through the sticking out 15-0 hexagon, or Delica if you're using it, or round bead. Just like that. And just use your thumb to kind of guide, and just do a gentle tug. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that one more time. So I am coming out of this 15-0 hexagon. I'm picking up a 11-0 Delica, going through the next 15-0 hexagon sticking out, just like that. I'm going to use my thumb to help guide the bead into place. And then I just do a gentle little tug. Make sure it sits in the center, just like that. And then I'll go around one more time, all the way around. And so I'm coming out of, whoops, let's do one more before I leave you guys. So I am coming out of this hexagon. I picked up a 15-0 round. I'm going through the next hexagon sticking out. I'm using my fingers to guide the bead. And voila. So go all the way around, and when you're done, make sure that you go through that very first bead again. And the logic behind that is that we're creating a complete circle. So when you do that, it pulls everything together and makes sure it's a solid circle. Go ahead, remove your stop bead and thread needle on your tail and meet me back here, and we'll get started on the 15-0 hexagons or delicas or round seed beads, depending on what you're doing. And we'll get started with the back, and we're going to do exactly what we did with the front with the back. The only difference is we will be popping in our stone. Okay, alright, so we're going to do exactly the same thing that we did on the front. So I'm coming out of this 11-0 Delica sticking out. I'll pick up a 15-0 hexagon and go through the next 11-0 Delica sticking out. And we're just going to do a couple of these, and then we'll go ahead and stick our stone in. There we go. So that's one. And it's just like what we did in the front. So let's go ahead, go pick up a 15-0, go from one sticking out 11-0 to the next. There we go. Coming out of 11-0 Delica, picked up a 15-0, go through the next 11-0 sticking out. There we go. There we go. And let's go ahead and pop in our stone, see how we're doing. There we go. I'm going to just move my beads to over here. Great. I'm going to hold it in place. If it pops out, just go ahead and put it right back in, and you just do this all the way around. Okay, making sure you hold the stone into place, just like that. So I'm coming out 111-0 Delica sticking out. I pick up a 15-0 and I go through the next 11-0 Delica sticking out. There we go. So go all the way around. Make sure that you weave your way so you're coming out of the very first 15-0 hexagon that you just put on, okay? Meet me back here and we'll get started with the 15-0 rounds. And again, it's just like what we did in the front. The only difference is we're just holding on to that stone so it doesn't pop out. And about somewhere you'll hit that little sweet spot when you're going around with the 15-0 rounds where you don't have to hold it in place any further. Okay, so meet me back here and we'll get started with our 15-0 rounds. Now that we got all of our 15-0 hexagons on in the back, now we just need to add our 15-0 round seed beads. So it's just like we did in the front. So you're going from one 15-0 hexagon sticking out to you're picking up a bead. It's going to sit in the notch, and then you're going to go through the next 15-0 hexagon. So just like we did before on the front. And you may just have to, play with things. And also just keep in mind while you're holding the stone in place at this point, don't hold it too tight. Protect your hands by not just having it gently held. If it pops out, it pops out. You can just put it right back in. It's not worth wrecking your hands over. So just keep that in mind while you're doing your work, okay? And give your hands a break and do your stretches. And just take good care of your hands. Just keep those things in mind. So I'm coming out of this hexagon. I picked up a 15-0 round, going through the hexagon that is sticking out. And I'm just going to go all the way around. And when I'm done, I want to make sure I'm coming out of this 15-0 round seed bead. Okay, so once you've done that, meet me back here and we'll get started on the next step. Alright, so the next step for us to do is we are going to reinforce the center of the spine. So right now I weave my way so that I'm coming out of, so the center of the spine will be the 11 Delicas. And I'm weave my way so that the point I'm coming out is one of the 11 Delicas in which they're sitting side by side another 11 Delica. So I'm coming out of here. My thread is going in this direction. In the opposite direction, I'm going to go in the 11 Delica next to it, just like that. And then back through that first 11 Delica that I was coming out of, just like that. And then I'm going to go through the center 11 by itself. Just going to go through that and make my way, weave my way to the next 11 Delica where it's side by side. There we go, just like that. There we go. And go in the other 11 Delica, opposite direction. And then back up the 11 Delica that I came out of. And what this does is it creates a little hug and it just tightens everything up a little bit. And I like to do that all the way around. So go ahead and do that and meet me back here and we'll do the next step. So I'm coming out of this 11 Delica. I'm going to go in the opposite direction, the one next to it. Making sure my thread doesn't catch on anything. And I want to go through, whoops. There we go. I want to go through the 11 Delica and then up the center spine. Okay? Just like that. Alright, so meet me back here once you've gone all the way around and reinforced your stone. Alright, so I went all the way around on the spine and reinforced that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put on a third row. And what I did is I threaded my needle and thread on my front thread because my back thread's starting to get a little short. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the front. And I'm going to do the round seed beads, 15 O's on this. And the reason why is that this here, and you might be a little different, but for me it's feeling a little loose and I just don't feel like it's secure enough to go ahead and just leave the 2 rounds. So I'm going to do one more round on the front and one more round on the back, and that should secure it. And the round beads are just a little, they have a little bit narrow, so they're not as long in length. So that should help bring in the circumference. So it's going to be the same thing that we've done with everything else. The only difference is we're just doing a third row. So I'm coming out of the 15 round here. I'm going to pick up a 15 round. Okay, let me get a little closer so you can see what I'm doing. And go through the next 15 round sticking out. There we go. I'm just going to hold my bezel in place here. And there we go. And I think I might have gone out of screen, so let me do that again. So I'm picked up a 15 I'm coming out of one 15 sticking out. I'm going to go through the other 15 sticking out, and my 15 that I picked up will sit in that little notch in between. There we go. Don't tug too hard, but do a gentle tug, and then go all the way around, making sure that you go through that very first 15 that you just put on. So let's go ahead and do one more. There we go. And make sure my thread's out of the way. There we go. And ta-da. So I'm coming out of one 15-0 sticking out. I pick up another 15-0 round, and then I'll go through the next sticking out 15-0. Just like this. There we go. Oh, voila. Alright, so go ahead and do that all the way around, making sure you go through that very first 15-0 that you just put on for this round, okay? So it should be the one sticking out here, okay? Meet me back here and we'll then do the back, okay? Alright, so just like we did with the front, I ended up weaving my way back to the very back, so I'm coming out of a 15-0 round seed bead. I picked up a 15-0 round seed bead, and then I'm just going to go through the next sticking out 15-0 round seed bead. There we go. Just like that. And I'm just going to go all the way around. So I'm coming out of this 15-0 seed bead initially sticking out. I picked up a 15-0 round. I'm going to go through the next one sticking out, and my bead's going to sit in that little notch. I'm going to just use my fingers to make things sit right. And then I'm just going to go all the way around, making sure at the very end I'm coming out of this bead here so that I've completed one full circle, okay? So go ahead and do that. Meet me back here and I'll show you the next step. Alright, so now we have on our 3 rows of 15-0s, and we've reinforced the center spine with our tail. At least I did. You might have done things a little differently. I'm going to do some reinforcing of the 15-0s, okay? I'm going to do things a little different. So let me get a little closer. There we go. So I'm coming out of this 15-0 right here. So let me just put my needle through there. Alright, and just like with our central spine, I'm going to do a couple of these, not many. So I'm coming out of this 15-0. I'm going to go through the 11-0 that's by itself, the very center one. Alright, and I'm just going to create that little hug that we like. And I'm going to do this about 3 or 4 times. Okay, with that first 15-0 hexagon, okay? From there, I'm just going to, majority of the time what I'm going to do is I'm just going to weave my way through the 11-0 Delica, back through the 15-0 hexagon. Alright, and I will also sometimes go back into the 15-0s. I'm just going to weave in and out. My main thing is I want to reinforce that 15-0 hexagon, so I'm not going to miss any of those. And I'm just going to weave through in and out. Alright, so let me go back through that next 15-0. There. So I'm going to do that with the front and the back, and again we'll do like 3 or 4 half hugs. So let's make sure the next one is a hug. So I'm going to go through that 11-0 Delica up to the 15-0 hexagon, and let's do a hug here. Let's go ahead and do a little hug. There we go. So I'm just going to go through that 11-0 Delica in the very center, because I'm coming out of the 15-0. And then back through that 15-0, making sure my thread doesn't catch on anything. And if it does, you just, fix it very gently. Alright, so go ahead and do that with the back and the front. Okay, and once you're done with that, what you want to do is you just, I'll show you what you want to do next. So what you want to do after you're done with that is go through your center spine and reinforce it just like we did earlier. And you want to do that several times. Alright, because you're changing directions when you do that, and go around not necessarily all the way around, but go, I would say, a quarter of the way, or so do like 6 or 8 of them, and then you can go ahead and end your thread. Okay, alright, nice job everybody, beautiful stone, and take care and stay healthy, and I really appreciate everyone being so supportive, and in a way, this is a learning experience for me too, because I'm learning how to do this on the video, and it does not come naturally, but we're getting there. And I just want to say thank you, and take care, everybody. Love ya.